Hi, this is Sara with Softflex Company, and today I'm going to show you how to finish off a bracelet using Stretch Magic. Stretch Magic is a product that we've carried for a really long time. It's very strong, but also very stretchy, so it's flexible and can be sprung open to go over your hand onto your wrist if you're making bracelets. And it comes in 3 different diameters. It comes in 0.5 millimeter, 0.7 millimeter, and 1 millimeter. I'm using the 0.7 millimeter today, which I think is a pretty good diameter. It'll fit a pretty small hole, but it can also handle things that are a little bit bigger and chunkier, like I'm using in this bracelet here. I've already started stringing the bracelet just to make it a little bit more efficient for the video. So you'll see I have 2 strands of Stretch Magic. I'm using the clear, so it may be a little difficult to see as it doesn't have any color to it, but you'll just have to bear with me. I am using a bead stopper, which is a nice little tool that just clips open, and you can put wire or Stretch Magic or threads or cords into it, and then when you string on your beads, you don't have to worry about the beads falling off. I am using a 2-hole bead. You could use any 2-hole bead. This is a very specific one. It's probably a vintage check glass bead. I picked it up at a small bead store in Sonoma. So you're probably not going to be able to find this exact bead, but there are lots of different 2-hole beads out there that you could use in the same way. And then I'm using size 11 seed beads, and I believe this is a 12 millimeter bicone Swarovski crystal. And I've just done the same pattern down the whole length of the bracelet. And now I'm on the other end. I'm going to do one set of the pattern with you. So I'm going to string this through. The Stretch Magic is actually easy to just string right through the hole of a bead. But if you do have difficulty, you can always dip it in some clear nail polish. That will harden up the end and make it a little bit easier to put through a hole, sort of like a shoelace. In this case, my holes are all big enough that I didn't do that because it's really not necessary. But there are times where it's just real difficult to get it to go through the right hole. So in that case, you may want to stiffen it up using some clear nail polish. So I've strung on my 2-hole bead. Now I'm going to add a size 11 bead to each of my strands. The Stretch Magic does come in colors. I believe it comes in black and gold. You'll have to look at our website, softflexcompany.com, to see all of the different colors that are offered. The clear is nice though, because it is sort of just invisible, which is a nice thing sometimes to not have the product stand out. You know, it just sort of sits in the background. And I'm doing both strands at the same time through this big crystal. So they both go through, tighten that down. And then I just want to add one more seed bead to each of these strands, and then I will have a complete pattern when I attach the 2 ends. I haven't tried this yet, but I did want to see if, and we'll loosen this guy up a little bit here. I wanted to see if this would go through twice. I have a feeling it won't. Yeah. Sometimes, if possible, I like to do my knotting back behind a bead. This is a perfect case where it would be wonderful to knot it behind this big sort of square cabochon, but it's not going to work out that way. So what I'm going to do is just go ahead and knot it between the beads. And I don't want to lose this seed bead, so I'm going to stick my bead stopper on that end instead. I'm going to bring the 2 sides together, and I'm just going to do a square knot, which is basically a left over right, right over left. So you're going in 2 opposite directions. And I want to just pull it nice and tight. As tight as I can. And you want to pull here too, just to make sure it's all nice. And then I'll do my second side. Again, same knot. It's basically a double knot, left over right. Tighten it down. Right over left. And tighten. Now just to make sure that this is secure, and I feel really good about it, I'm going to actually add a little dab of glue. So I'm using the specialty glue today. I love this glue. You can use it for all sorts of things. It works on glass, metal, our beading wire, which is nylon coated. It works great on the Stretch Magic. It's non-acidic, so it's not going to eat through this really soft material. It's also dries very pliable and really flexible, so when you're stretching the bracelet, you shouldn't have to worry about it cracking and flaking off like some glues will. It's also an instant glue, so it's going to dry within about 60 seconds. I don't particularly like the tip on this glue, so what I like to do is just unscrew the bottle, set the lid aside, and then I just like to use a piece of wire. I had one over here, a piece of wire. You can use like a head pin, you could use a toothpick, just something where you can get just a dab of glue. I'm going to pull the beads away from these knots to the best of my ability, and then I'm just going to dab on some glue. You don't need a whole lot, a little bit goes a long way. And then I'm just going to hold it out here while it dries. Make sure that gets a nice, good, strong hold. And it's a gap filling glue, so it'll should fill in the gaps of the knot and ensure that when you pull on the ends, you're not going to lose the knot and have it slip free. And you definitely want a nice, strong finish because you're going to be pulling on this bracelet to stretch it over your hand. So you don't want it to snap and break and have the beads go flying everywhere. Now, Stretch Magic is not as strong as Softlex. Softlex is a stainless steel beading wire, but it does have the advantage of being stretchy. So this is something that you're going to use for an inexpensive bracelet, something quick and easy that you can throw on, something you're going to maybe sell for an inexpensive price, but nothing really, expensive or pricey should really be strung on Stretch Magic. It's more for those quick and easy projects. If you have something that you really treasure, you should probably put it on Softlex, which is stainless steel, so it's a lot stronger. Over time, stretch product of any kind, including Stretch Magic, will stretch down and sometimes snap and break. It's just what happens because it's just like a thread or any other material. The beads will wear through it. It does take quite a while, and we have found that Stretch Magic is the toughest of the stretch products that we've tried, which is why we carry it. And it definitely has its applications, times where you would want to use it. It's still drying just a little bit more. You can see it's still a little wet, and I want to make sure it's fully dried. I'm going to go ahead and let go of these beads now so that it can kind of sit. And while that's drying, we'll do a quick and easy pair of earrings, and then we can snip off the ends of that bracelet. So these earrings are super simple. I'm just going to cut a small piece of Stretch Magic. This is probably about 5 inches. I probably don't need quite that much, but I'm being generous. I've got my pair of ear wires here. I'm just going to thread my Stretch Magic through the ear wire, bring the two pieces together, and then string my 12mm crystal, pull it up tight, and then all I have to do is tie a nice square knot on the bottom. So left over right, right over left. Doesn't want to go through here. And tighten that down nicely. And I'll do the same thing on the other side. and then I can do a quick snip snip after I glue it. These are super cute, super easy, and they'll match my new bracelet really well. Okay, so again, I'm just going to string through and, oops, make sure there we go. I'm going to tighten your loop down, there you go. And I'm just going to tie my knot, left over right, right over left. And I'm just going to do a little bit of that wonderful Stretch Magic glue on those. Get just a little bit more. Make sure those knots are nice and finished. And they're nice and clear, so they're going to look great when I snip the ends off. Okay, and we can let those dry and we can return back to our bracelet and see how that's looking. It looks great. So I'm going to go ahead and snip off pretty close to those knots. I'm using my cutters. You could definitely use just like a pair of scissors or any sort of cutting device. I like cutters because they can get in pretty close. And then you've got a super cute, super easy to wear bracelet. And that should just slip right over your hand onto your wrist. And when I'm done with the earrings, I'm just going to do the same thing. When they dry out, I'm going to snip, and then I'll have a cute little earring to match my new bracelet. I hope you enjoyed this video and learning all about our Stretch Magic product. If you want to learn more about it, you can always visit our website, which is www.softflexcompany.com. If you like this video and want to see more videos like it, I encourage you to like our Facebook page, which is Softflex Company if you search for it, and also to subscribe to our YouTube page. We try to upload a video every week, each place, giving you new tutorials and examples of how to use our products. Thanks for spending a little bit of your time with me today, and I hope that you will stop by our website, www.softflexcompany.com.